Hey, everybody, it's Tuesday.
I thought you were going to say Thursday. It's not
You
that long
always,
this week. I know I do.
you always think I'm going to do that.
Welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And the funny thing about the Tuesday and Thursday is that we are coming to you both nights either way, at least from here all the way till the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo. There is so many great previews that we are going to be able to bring to you. So a lot of times this is products and people and things and cool stuff. And tonight it is a little bit of all of that. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves quite yet, because we do always start with a little fishing report. And I've got to say, well, we did have actually quite the weekend. I guess we gave each other a look. I don't know how much you can see that on your tiny phone screen. I assume most people are watching this on their phone. But because we went out on Saturday, and honestly, it was like a really tough day. We went out on Sunday and we still worked a little bit for fish, but honestly, in comparison, we crushed it. So where do we start with all that?
Well, just on Saturday, we went to a spot that is notorious for being on or off. So that really doesn't have much to do with it. When I say on or off, like, we might catch one or two fish versus, catching like 30 fish. But it just wasn't one of those days. Like the fish were the neat thing about using an AquaView and using the live scope, like you can kind of tell where the fish are and kind of what they're doing relative to what you're doing. And we pulled up on some structure. There was some fish there. We pulled one off it and they all like sunk into the structure. And then the rest of the fish we found the rest of the day, Saturday, were just like singles floating around, all different depths, all different everything. And that's kind of one of the signatures of this body of water is that they just do that sometimes. And I have no idea. I've not found that puzzle piece yet to figure out why they do that. You can go around, you can chase fish around, and you can pick one or two off, but it really is a challenge.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday
was totally opposite.
Yeah. We went out and same thing as the weekend before. We started out like on one side of this lake, and we were fishing shorelines because last time we were there, we caught a few fish along the shorelines.
Well, and like last time, we were battling wind. So if you're anywhere in the Midwest, it was windy this past weekend. Again, that's par for the course.
Well, and so we went along, and I think our biggest barrier on Sunday was the leaves on top of the lake. Like you're trying to fish, like when you're watching like MLF or Bass Pro Series or whatever, and they're fishing like hydrilla mats. This is like the maple leaf mats we were fishing for crappies and for bluegills. And so that was tough, but we kind of figured out a bite. I ended up using a shimmer jig from Widowmaker. That's just like a feather jig with a shiny body on it. That did really well, and I was using a little bit bigger of a setup, and I could punch through a little bit more. You were still trying to fight with your smaller stuff, and you were actually hitting more pockets than I was. I was just casting straight into it, and I was catching probably more leaves than fish most times, but
one of the important things about the spot that we found, though, is, I keep saying, oh, it was out of the wind, but also it was a bay that was a very deep spot in the middle, 17 feet, I want to say. And so it came up very sharp edges, and there was tons and tons and tons of brush piles in there. And so I actually wasn't seeing all that much bait myself, but like you were saying, with all the leaves, it was hard to see a whole bunch of anything. But once we were able to get through those leaves, those fish were hiding in that transition area between the sticks and that deep spot. The nice thing about this is because it was a sharp transition, it was easier to pinpoint where these fish were sitting in those spots. And so as we picked them off, it was a little harder to find, and we had to leave and come back and all of that. But I think that there's a lot of different things that you can do to be productive in this transition time, because we're not fully into that fall pattern yet. So with that, I guess let us know where you're at. Let us know what the fall pattern is by you, or if we're there yet, because ultimately we are looking forward towards ice, and I think tonight's guests are going to help us do that.
Yep.
So I guess without further ado, we actually have two guests this evening. Let's bring them on in. Craig, Richard, welcome to the show.
Hey guys.
Hey, so we always start out with kind of, well, because we know you guys, but not everybody at home does. So we always ask for kind of an introduction. Craig, if it's okay, let's start with you.
Yes, my name is Craig Poucher. I am president of Stryker. It's a family business. My dad started it way back when, kind of been involved in the background. I mean, since I was young, working in the warehouse and whatnot, and then formally came on board about 4 years ago, and been doing largely everything since.
That's awesome. And certainly, I'm just going to point out the elephant in the room, like you're in your car. But I think that's awesome because
Yep,
you were talking about you're there for your son, and that's a family business, like you're saying.
I apologize. Yep, normally I would not take this from the truck, but my son is literally at Rosemount Middle School right now doing his final firearm safety test. So I don't know how long the test lasts, so I couldn't necessarily leave him. I could have tried to find a spot in the school, but I figured it's nice and quiet in the truck. So yeah, I apologize for that. But yeah, we
No, I
are.
think that's awesome. And also because if anybody has ever been to an expo, he's actually gotten involved before. Like he's read off raffle tickets.
Oh,
He has been
yeah.
involved with the people. And I think that is so cool. So just shout out to him and the young fishermen out there that get involved because that's hard to do.
Yep, Henry is the 12-year-old. He's at the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show or any show that he attends. He's typically asks to read off the raffle numbers. He's worked in retailer booths selling suits, so he loves those trade shows. So, yep, I don't know if he's coming to Oshkosh, but I'll try to get him out there at least one day. I don't know what his schedule is like, but normally I get him to St. Paul because it's relatively close.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, he's going to be busy hunting. So.
That's true.
Oh my goodness. And Richard, you are a face that's a little bit newer to Stryker. Can you introduce yourself as well?
Richard Poth. I'm the marketing manager for Stryker. I've been with the brand now since July, so fairly new to the brand, but not new to the outdoor fishing industry and action sports industry. Worked for some of our competitors, and found my way to Stryker, which has been so far an amazing ride working with Craig, his family, and the team that we have in Hudson. So I'm looking forward to doing like a lot of great things. I mean, we've already launched some really great products that I think everyone out there has probably started to see and seen in the media. So yeah, I'm looking forward to some great times.
Absolutely some great times. Ice fishing is always great times. How could you not be excited? So when we start thinking Stryker, to be honest, there's a lot of different options on the market for people to look at. And honestly, that's one of the cool things about the ice shows is that so many of these products are in one place. So I don't mean to start with the hardest question in the world, and maybe I'm even going to half answer this, right? But I think that so often people are like, why Stryker? And at least for me, I think it comes down to the float suits. Is that you're nodding? Is that true for you as well?
Yeah, I think for me, it's a combination of that safety aspect in the float suits. But I think also, in my opinion, at this time, Stryker does the best at incorporating that in a functional way. Just it works best for me the way that the clothes are designed with that function. And so I think that's why I like it.
And so what you're referring to is also probably what I'm referring to is because, okay, and no offense to everybody, but everybody has a float set on the market these days. And that's actually good, right? Because the goal is to have anglers be safe and to go out the next time, right? But so often, early season, late season, hiking from spot to spot, I am not good at wearing my jacket. Okay, like staying all bundled up. We have this picture, ooh, ice season, you have to wear your hats, your gloves, your things, and zipped up tight. But the reality is like when I am dragging my shack and all my things and my dog from like spot over there to like clear across the lake, I am more likely sweating and opening up with vents and all of these different things. And I find myself down to just bibs. And with Stryker, you only take one piece to be considered safe. Each piece will float the size that it's meant for. And to me, that is so, 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 so important. So I know we talked about kind of a lot of things there and certainly the float. But Richard, would you say that this is something that you agree with?
I think, when I first, came to the brand and kind of doing my research on like what makes it what makes it so special. And its roots come from ice fishing, and it's that float technology that ensures people that extra amount of safety. And I just recently met an individual that came into our office that talked to me and Craig about how his suit and jacket saved his life. And to me, like that's like pretty amazing to hear that, because the last thing people want is to be put in a position where they can't be saved, or can't be pulled out of the water, or a river. And he was just so adamant about it. I mean, his wife got, I could tell just there was a lot of emotion involved. And I think anytime you're on the water, depending, no matter what type of fishing you're doing, it's just having that safety factor is super important. And it's nice that Striker has basically built their brand on that, with ice suits and although I'm new to the ice fishing industry, I can see how important that is, and how now they incorporated that from their suits to our new Shield float vests, which has been amazing too. So yeah, I think the safety aspect is probably the most important thing that I think sometimes people, when they do their shopping for fishing gear, they don't realize like, hey, what goes into building these suits, or the history behind it. You know what I mean? And when they find that out, they're just like, okay, now this makes sense. Now there's other float suits out there, but like I'm gonna hang my hat on ours and be like, hey, yeah, we are the best because we've taken a lot of pride, and between Craig's dad, Jim, and himself, and the history of the company, like they've done a great job of making sure that people are safe on the ice and on a boat and whatever kind of fishing you're doing. So like, I'm glad to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if there's any of your listeners out there, do wear a float suit, even if it's not a striker suit. You never know when you're going to go in. I wear bibs, even if it's 40, 50 degrees out. I mean, if there's long as there's a decent amount of ice. But yeah, I'm like you, Emily. I don't even wear a jacket at all. Actually, I don't own a striker jacket other than a soft shell because our bibs are so warm, and I wear our Renegade pullover, and I'm just a bigger dude, so I don't get cold. I think it was 2 years ago. It wasn't last year. Definitely not last year. It was -20. The year before it was -20 out, and it was blowing, I don't know, 30 miles per hour. And I was wearing a Renegade. Yes, I was layered up underneath it with my Apex bibs, but it was still nice and toasty. And you're kneeling all the time. You're kneeling in slush. So bibs are the most important aspect for ice fishing. And yeah, we definitely float with one, and that's intentional, because guys will always shed their jacket when they're walking out, and that's when you're most likely to fall in.
And, obviously safety is number one, because the point is to go out for the trip, but the point is to come home so you can go out next time again. But I think the other reason that I bring this up first is because, I mean, I guess at the risk of sounding silly or like salesman-y, but like it's comfortable, it's functional, it's warm, it's waterproof, it's windproof, it's, all of the other things, like the boxes are checked. And for me, that is so super cool. And that's when it comes down to those details. Ooh, do I call safety a detail? A pillar of, of the product. But I think that is really cool. Now, Craig, I am hearing you though, that you were talking about your Apex bibs, your Renegade jacket, all of these things. These products because you live them day in, day out. There's a lot of people that don't know them as well as you. And that is one of the great reasons for the expos, right? So if you are the kind of person, you have no idea what you want, you have no idea where to start. You said, oh, I heard them say bibs, right? Like that's the most important piece. So if you come up to the booth and you have no idea what you want, that is actually one of my favorite customers to work with. I'm looking at your smirk. And because one of the things that we ask those people in that moment is, what do you fish for? Like, tell me how you fish. And that's not something that you can type into the Striker website, as awesome as it is. I'm not knocking the website. But I'm saying when you come to the expo, you can talk about, I'm that person. I sit on a bucket and I jig all day, like out in the elements, or like, man, I'm hole hopping, I'm dragging my stuff, I'm doing a tournament, all of that. So when you hear those different things, how do you help steer people?
Well, I mean, I just kind of categorize it in my own personal way, right? And I think each of us at the shows have our own way of kind of thinking about these different suits. And I tend to lean more on my experience, right? Because I don't necessarily know the person that I'm talking to at a show. So I just kind of give them my aspect of where I'm coming from and why I choose things, and specifically why I choose Striker, and then why I choose the Striker items that I do. And I think at the show, the biggest aspect for me is being able to try this stuff on, like any of it, anything that, if you're trying a rod out, trying holding an auger, trying a whole suit on. You can literally put a whole suit on at the show and walk around a little bit in the booth and get the feel for it. That's something you can't do like
Well, if you go to
80%
the
of the year.
Striker store in Hudson.
Yeah, you could go to Hudson, but even if you go to one of the box stores, you can try it on, but nobody's there to tell you, to
About
give
how
you that
the length
expertise,
is adjustable.
right, on how they like to fish, how the suits work, and why somebody would want to choose one over the other. And I think that's why a show at the Striker booth is so special.
Well, okay, and I love all of that because it's totally true. But what I thought you were going to say is when we are at the shows, we kind of think about the suits. Well, I guess this is kind of how you started, in categories. And so when I think of somebody who is a tournament fisher, they're running gun, they're moving a lot, I start to think of things like the Predator suit. Or possibly even sometimes later, there's actually people who will wear rain gear, the Denali suit, out onto the ice if they are running that much. I guess that's not necessarily what the gear is meant for, but you could do things like that and be comfortable. But that Predator bib is really great. The ventilation, the padded knees, all of the different details for running gun fishermen. If you are looking for something a little bit warmer, that is the hard water series. That is that person who is maybe sitting on their bucket and jigging, right? Out in the elements all the time. And that's where you said the fit might be a little bit different. Try those suits on. The climate series then is, in my opinion, kind of the best of both worlds. If you use that layer inside, it is that ultra super warmth. If you take it out, you have that great ventilation, that durability, all of those great things like that Predator suit. And then that Apex series kind of is a unique suit in itself. So let's turn to one of our experts and hear a little bit more about the Apex suit.
Yeah, I can speak to it because I've worn it a lot. Actually, and all of our employees typically, I think there's almost everyone's wearing the Apex. Even some of the females on staff fit into the Apex as well. With that Primaloft Gold with cross-core. Essentially, it's the most expensive insulation on the market that Primaloft makes. So that's kind of the basis of it. We wanted it to be a very, very warm suit, yet not be bulky. So when you try on, I always suggest people to try on our hard water bibs, then try on the Apex, because our hard water are one of our warmest bibs, but they have just a ton of that Thermodex insulation. And while it's warm, it's also bulky. So when you go up to the Apex, it feels like you're almost wearing like a pair of pants or a pair of sweatpants. It's just that much thinner. It's about half the thickness, but almost the same clo value or the insulation factor of that hard water. That, and then the reinforced knees with the super fabric, which is an Oakdale, Minnesota company. Heavy abrasion resistance on that. There's also the standard features with the adjustable inseam. We've got swivel buckles up top, reduce that fatigue over a long course of the day. But yeah, when it comes down to it, it's just a game changer on how thin it is. We have to convince people when we're selling these at shows, like, it is warm. It is very warm. I've never been cold in those things. And I'm often zipping down the sides, trying to dump that heat. I don't know how some people, we've had about 3 complaints in the last 4 years of, oh, this isn't warm enough. And that's across the board of all of our stuff. Just being upfront about it. I'm like, I don't know. Some of these people are, if they're like 90 years old and have poor circulation, then maybe they're not layering. But man, our stuff is almost too warm at times, where we're trying to figure out new ways to dump heat more efficiently. Because when you're walking around or moving at all, it's tough to dump that. that heat.
Okay.
But yeah,
But it's actually not so tough to dump that heat, right? Because, like what you're saying is, like, if you, okay, first of all, this comes down to good layering. So let's hit on that really quick. I really think that the base layers, some people over layer. If you're wearing 3-4 sweatshirts, don't wear 4 sweatshirts. That's crazy, right? But what should base layers look like? Or I guess I have an idea. Do you guys, what do you
it's
do?
pretty much what you're most comfortable with. We assume you're wearing either sweatpants or jeans on the bottom and like a t-shirt and a sweatshirt on the top. Usually that's what we're thinking about when we're doing our sizing, that you're going to have a little bit of layering underneath. But at the same time, there's guys out there. My brother's a big dude. He wears shorts and a t-shirt underneath his. And sometimes he'll be like on the ice with just bibs and a t-shirt on. So, and he's pushing near 300 pounds, but man, he just doesn't get cold. So it all depends. I know some guys wear multiple layers, some guys wear nothing. But when we're coming down to fit, I definitely recommend like something to move some moisture around so it's not right up against the insulation, like a pair of sweatpants, or some guys wear long johns, and then like a hoodie.
Okay, you know what actually works super great is because you want to have like a wicking layer. Shout out to all the summer gear, right? We always talk about loving gear that you don't have to put away for one season or the other. Winter gear, you just kind of have to put away, like, right? That's hard in summer. But that summer gear, it's built to keep you cool. It's built to keep that moisture and wick it away from your body. And when you use that actually as some of your base layers, that's going to help keep you warmer in the long run. I know that sounds crazy, but that wicking material has that. And so shout out to your summer wardrobe hidden in winter, right? But we were talking about that venting. And so when you have those great layers built up, you do have a 3 zipper system in the pants. And that's a huge way to control that heat.
Yep. And actually, as Ryan in the comments, he's asked if we offer sweatpants. We have offered layers in the past, our Elite sweatpants and our Waypoint pants. And we no longer have those. I think we're sold out of the Waypant at this point. But we are working on some new stuff. It'll be closer to our Elite sweatpants that we had. That was a couple years back. You might be able to find some online with some more retailers. But yeah, those will be coming out soon. We'll say that. not this year, but probably next year.
Sneak peeks.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So I'm going to also go back to something that you said, I don't know, a handful of minutes ago, but I think it's an important thing to talk about because when we're talking about, coming to ice shows, looking at gear, trying things on, one of the things that you said is don't underestimate for example, gear like the Apex, because when you touch this material, this is not the Apex material, right? But when you touch this, it, dare I say, feels thin. Right. And so because there is so much movement and there's just so much warmth that is packed into, I don't know, however they make that magic material. Right. That's why it's an awesome suit. But the thing about that is I think so often people have equated like thick gear, thick suits, like puffiness is what brings the warmth. And so often, we'll be at the expos and we watch people walk down the aisle and this is so cool. Feel free to touch, feel free to look, shop around and everything, but people will like touch all the different things along the way. And then they stop when they find like a material they like or a thickness they like, or whatever it is that customer is shopping for. But it's interesting, like what you're saying, because sometimes the person who is looking for that supreme warmth doesn't expect so much mobility to come with it. And that's a nice thing about back when you said being able to be there and talk to the experts. So that's it. You bring a whole team of people to shows. That's always super cool.
Yeah, you definitely have the opportunity to speak to a lot of the staff. I mean, Richard will be at the shows this coming year. And so anyone in marketing, product development's always interesting to talk to if you can catch one of them, because you get the behind the scenes, and feel free to ask them questions and the thought and process that goes behind in a lot of the design. And if you have suggestions, we're always open to suggestions or new products, or if you like a different product, yeah, we're always interested in hearing good ideas.
So when we are talking about bibs, we gave a little overview of some of them. The website does a really good job of giving an overview of all of them, and allows you to compare it and everything. So that's great. Go and check that out. There's a few details that we haven't talked about. So we did say windproof, waterproof, padded knees, super strong fabric, all of those good things. Shout out to the Predator suit, because there is in the side pocket a bait or beverage holder, right? Will hold a whole full water bottle or pop can or beer.
Really, it's also in the climate and
Mhm.
the hard water. I forget which ones it's in. I kind of have to look.
Yeah, I always have to look too.
It is,
but it's
it
like a
is,
hidden secret.
yeah. It's not in the Apex. I know that.
Nope.
Unfortunately.
I know.
But one of the other details that is so important is, you talked about the straps, and certainly that's an adjustable and that helps the length, and that's fine. That's something that they all offer. But the length, the bottom of the pant is also fully adjustable. And I know that from where all of us are, that's going to be a little bit hard to demonstrate here. So maybe we can describe it a little bit, but I'll also say we did a video one time. So we'll try to, after this, maybe take that video and post the link in the comments so people can watch, because so often on the ice, I see people walking around and they do all kinds of funky things, roll their bibs in, roll their bibs out. They all kinds of stuff, right? But there is actually a way to tailor each and every bib to your own height, to your own length. How do we describe that?
That is a tough one to do without a
Okay.
visual.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, essentially it Velcros up on its inside. But yeah, every single one of our ice suits has Velcro adjustable inseam. Our Vortex rain suit now has adjustable inseam as well, using buttons or snaps. Just for recently, I went up Canada fishing with my 12-year-old, and I squeezed him into a men's small Vortex simply because you can adjust the inseam up so much. And the jacket was a little big, but with those adjustable cuffs and everything, it fit him well. We were in a downpour multiple days, all day long. But yeah, that adjustable inseam is not only essential for adjusting it to your individual size, but also with kids. Like, kids grow and they outgrow stuff. And that's one thing with our bibs, it will grow with them. So you can always size up, and that thing will last them for several years. To get that durability, they are more expensive than the cheap snow pants and stuff you see out there, but they will last, and then you can pass them down to the next kid. As a middle kid of 3 boys, I definitely get hand-me-downs. Never had anything new in my life, but it was always passed down. But yeah, I got 4 kids, so that's something I look at when I'm buying for my kids, is how long that will last. And then adjustable inseam is just absolutely killer.
And one more hint that I will give about that is, if you are looking at that inseam on your bib, go to the very bottom of the pant, and what looks like a very nicely finished seam is a nice finished seam, but also it opens up, and the first part of the Velcro that everyone seems to be missing is hidden inside, because if you don't need that extra length, it's not going to be in your way. Or if you do need the extra length, right, the Velcro won't be in your way. So make sure that you peel open that bottom hem, because that Velcro is there. And then the rest of the Velcro pieces are pretty obvious. You could see them, or at least more obviously, and it makes it a nice, infinitely adjustable thing for a whole bunch of different inches. So I don't know the exact measurement, but I'm saying, because there's some bibs, and then they have like a line, and you get to choose like 1 or 2 heights, right? But when the Velcro goes that whole way, you can choose whatever length that is that you're looking for. I just like
infinitely adjustable to 6 inches.
Well, no, 6
It doesn't go all the way up your leg.
Whatever. I'm just saying, like, fine.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever.
I will piggyback on what you're saying, though. That is a very good descriptor. We'll put a link in at the end of the show in the comments. But what I will say, every time you buy a Striker product, keep the tags for the first 10 minutes that you own that thing and read the tags. The instructions are on there.
Let's say why.
Because the instructions are on there.
But
it tells
people
you,
don't know, because there's like 100 hang tags, and they're like, get this out of here.
No one's gonna hang on to the hang tags. Every guy's gonna throw those things right out.
That's
Google
the one thing.
videos.
That's the one thing I show everybody at the show. That's what you'll get from me if you come see me at the Up North Sports booth in St. Paul, or if you see us walking around at Oshkosh, I will tell you, hold on to those hang tags. They have everything you need, and then you won't look like a doofus walking around in like big long pants. Because I'm a short guy. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm vertically challenged, and it is the most awful feeling when you have a really nice really nice gear and you're trying to keep it nice, and the first couple weeks you start wearing a hole in the back of it because you're stepping on it all the time, and it's hard. So knowing that information, knowing how to do that, just keep those tags, keep them. I'm gonna get a shirt that says that. Keep the tags.
We gotta get you off your soapbox. I'm kidding. Okay, but if you're interested in bibs, go and check out the website. There's lots of really cool options. But I think that Troy is actually thinking similar to what I'm thinking. I was going to ask about, if you get bibs, do all the different jackets, can you mix and match? But hold that thought, because before we get to jackets, there is something new this year that I would love to bring up now. There is a brand new float vest. So can you walk us through some of these details? How do you put float in a vest and be comfortable?
Well, for the new Shield float vest, I mean, we kind of took the same technology that we put in our ice suits, but into a nicely styled vest. So, it has a amazing fleece line collar. It has Thermodex insulation, has fleece line pockets, DWR water finish. So it has all the elements to not only keep you warm, keep you dry, but as that safety factor as well. So we've been getting tons of great coverage about this piece. I think people, are looking forward to wearing it because it's such a lifestyle piece. You can walk into a restaurant or a bar after you're done fishing and, you're not having this big bulky piece on or whatnot. But it's that safety factor that we talked about kind of in the beginning of keeping you safe and that comfort level, which was nice that we did that, because a lot of people have been trying it out. We actually had a big sports photographer the other day ago that did a photo shoot and that wanted to see really like, hey, okay, is this thing going to float me? And he actually jumped in the water and it did. And he was just like, I was blown away. Because usually he's wearing a PFD, and I have to say this doesn't replace a PFD. This is just that extra added safety. And guys in ice, guys in freshwater, we have a bunch of saltwater anglers that are gravitating to this because it's that safety factor. And anytime you hear safety, sometimes people think bulkiness or just kind of like, not very well styled in the outdoor market. But this piece was done right. It was designed prior to me getting there, and then when I finally got to see it, I was just like, "Oh, this thing's going to take off," and it has. I mean, we've been getting tons of great feedback from customers to our pro staff, and we're looking forward to possibly carrying this on in the line come next year. We threw some other ideas around as adding to the vest. Craig can speak to that as far as maybe do we throw a hood on it, or we do something kind of cool and like keep this in the line, because I think this is going to be a strong piece for a long time to come.
Hey, yeah, leave comments if you guys want a vest with a hood,
Yeah.
because that's something we are considering. Yeah, okay.
Okay, but I am lucky enough to have picked up one of these awesome vests, actually.
Mhm.
And what I will say about it is that there's a few more details that actually you haven't even mentioned. So, or maybe you did kind of, but the pockets are huge on this thing. And so I understand I am a female and that it's like a vest made for guys. It's not really. It's like an everybody vest, because you wear this and I wear this, and
Yep.
Honestly, it looks good on both of us. But what I can say is these pockets will hold a whole jig box, like your typical ice jig box is what I'm saying. It'll hold your waxies, it'll hold your cell phone. Cell phones have gotten like pretty big these days. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I have pockets that my phone does not fit into, and this will fit in and out really easily. And so if you are a catch and release angler, one of the things about winter is returning that fish to the water before it freezes. That's a pretty delicate process. If you are fumbling too long for your phone, that's not great for that fish, right? So it's a crazy detail that I really appreciate. The other thing that I really also appreciate is I cannot help myself but to wear all the stuff to like work and everything in my daily life, right? So Craig, we were teasing you. You're out and about, you know, with your kids. But that's the thing about striker gear is I was going to say pick up my kids, and then I don't have kids, right? But you're going to pick up your kids, and then you're going to go ice fishing right after, right? And there's all these different activities that go on. When I can have something like a vest that does each of these activities with me. But here's the thing is the comfort about that. And so when you're in the car, in the shack, standing, moving, it has that extra zipper on it. And so you can unzip her from the bottom. So you're always comfortable. So if I'm sitting at work, you know, I can unzip it. If I'm sitting in the shack, whatever. That's also one of those things when you are hiking around, controlling that heat, like we were talking about before. These are all just great details. Maybe you don't need a 2-zipper system, but you get to choose that. And that's the cool thing about the striker gear and about the vest.
Yeah, we're always trying to make improvements. There's even running changes that we make and really don't tell anyone. Even on this Barricade hoodie that literally just came out, we're going to tweak something tiny. I'm not going to say what it is. But yeah, with literally the next production run, because there's just, you work on stuff and you do fits and everything. But as we know, like you figure stuff out once you wear it, once you get it on. And we do a lot of product testing. I mean, I've been wearing this Barricade hoodie for almost a year now. At least my sample or prototype. This one actually I just got last week, so this one's fresh. But but yeah, no. And back to the pocket sizes in product development, we have probably a dozen different either plano or jig boxes simply for making sure and designing those pocket sizes with those boxes in mind. Cell phones, we don't have all of our we usually just try out our own cell phones on stuff, and usually we'll add an extra inch or two because yeah, we know cell phones just keep getting bigger. But yeah, something we definitely incorporate into our design.
Troy is asking if you have vests on display in your Hudson office, or could you even try them on?
Yep, all 3 colors, I believe, in all sizes. The vest is going very, very well to the point where we are forecasting some stock outages. So don't wait, or just don't be disappointed. We'll be making more, but and same thing with the Barricade hoodie. We underestimated the popularity of these 2 items, and we're going to be out. And some of our new regular hoodies, for some reason, I don't know. Richard's doing his job, I guess, and we're getting a lot more demand than what we were expecting, especially after a warm winter. Maybe it's just a pent-up demand. Guys want to get back out on the ice, and they're anxious. But yeah, don't wait.
Well, and I think a lot of that also speaks to the company's propensity to like think cross seasonally, right? And so over the last few years, you guys have been really working on your spring and your summer line. And I think that a lot of this stuff, a vest, the hoodies, you can wear those all the way till, June. And then you can start wearing them again in some areas in August. And so like just having a whole line of stuff that works together. Emily brought up the UPF gear, using it during the winter for a base layer. That's one of my favorite things. That I, when we're going back and telling people like what suits work best for you, really, I think a lot of people do over layer, and using all of the striker stuff to make it work all year round, I think is something that you guys take into account when you're making all of your stuff.
Yeah, we are definitely trying to get outside of the ice, not stop making ice, but I mean, I'm fishing all year round, right? And we're ultimately making the products that we're using or that we want, and that we can also use during ice fishing. Like I am definitely gonna be wearing this Barricade hoodie all winter long, but yeah, I mean it's 72 degrees out, and I'm wearing it right now. But yeah, that's the idea, is stuff that can be worn in spring, especially the vest. The vest we intentionally designed because we're trying to figure out how to get our rain suits to float, but ultimately that flotation provides a certain amount of insulation. So something we came up with in the short run was a floating vest that you could layer underneath your rainwear. So that way, if it's a little cooler out, actually, my dad was fishing up in Rainy Lake this last week, and it was cold. I mean, it was cold up there. He layered the float vest underneath his adrenaline rain suit, and it performed perfectly. And that's exactly what our intentions were. We did try to make it a little bit more fitted, a little bit more trim with that in mind, so that it will layer nicely underneath the rainwear.
That's a really great point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here is the thing. A few minutes ago, excuse me, sorry. A few minutes ago, I had set everybody up that we were going to move on to jackets. And then I had a light bulb moment like 30 seconds ago. And I was like, oh my God, you guys, we have to hard stop. And here's the reason is we talked about all kinds of suits for men, for all kinds of people. I guess women can wear those suits. For kids, but there are suits specifically designed for women, like ice fishing suits, bibs. We did not even talk about that, and that is important. So I'm going to give like a really quick highlight of the fact that there are several options, not just one option. So sorry to go way back to bibs, but there is all kinds of good stuff. So the Stella suit was new, oh gosh, a year or two ago. It all blurs so fast with last season's ice season being crazy, right? Yeah. But the thing about this, it is the suit that is, I'll say, the bells and whistles. It is the kind of suit that if you are the lady angler that keeps up with the dudes, you do tournaments, you drill holes, you whatever, or maybe you don't, and you just want to be super warm and have lots of pockets and details. Line cutters tool, all that stuff is on that. That suit is great and available, and it is out there. And I do really, really love it. I wore that for, I want to say that whole first season that it came out, and I was like a hard switch. I used to be at Climate Bibs, and I was like, wow, this is so great. But actually, it was you guys over at Striker that convinced me to also try the Prism series. And the reason was that you had redone it. So in the past, the Prism had always been known as the suit that zips down on the sides so that like you can go potty on the ice or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's really super great. But I will admit, I did not love the original Prism. The idea was there. It was great. It didn't work for me. This new Prism suit, I did not think it was for me. The back is a little bit open because of the flip down, and I thought I was going to be cold. And I am here to say that I have hard switched from the Stella suit to the Prism suit because I love this. And it has nothing even to do with the fact that you can go to the bathroom on the ice or whatever. All of the other details, the comfort of the suit, the ability to control heat, all of this different kind of stuff. If you are looking for more details on the suit, hit me up because I can talk all day about them. But I will also note that there is also a Prism pant. And so we do get people that ask all the time at shows and expos, what about if I don't like bibs? That is okay. There is an option for that. And there's lots of great details on the website. So check it out. But what I will say is just like the men's gear, it's the windproof, it's the waterproof, it's the float, the padded knees, the pockets, the extra zippers with the ventilation. It is all the things. So you are not missing out on those cool details. And I love that. So we do find at the shows that a lot of times women also like the Predator series or the Climate, like I had mentioned, or you had said the Apex. Honestly, so many people love the Apex, but just know that there is suits for women as well. So if you have additional details, hit me up. I didn't mean to break in so fast, but I all of a sudden realized we could not move on without talking about that.
Yeah, cool. Women is a small but consistent portion of our business that we continue to introduce new products. Usually we bring it on the men's side first, and then we follow up with the women's. But it is all intentionally with a women in mind, the women cut. So yeah, the Barricade hoodie may or may not be coming out in women's next year. But that being said, plenty of women are buying the men's version and just dealing with it, the slight fit differences. But yeah, it's been a popular item.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Craig has one on, and I actually have one on in black. So I've been loving my Barricade hoodie. So
yeah. Oh my gosh. And earlier on we were talking about that vest, and you wear that, I wear that, we all wear that, you know. And so I think that does bring us to jackets, because no matter who you are, you can wear any of these jackets, any of these vests, and they mix and match mostly with each other. And so if you find bibs that you love and you want instead a Predator jacket, or you're dead set on the multi-layer climate jacket, or you just really want an Apex jacket, that is okay. And all of the different series of jackets will match with all of the different bibs. Is that true?
Yeah.
You're
More,
only
yeah,
nodding. You're like,
more so. I mean, I think depending on, color or whatever color scheme you like or whatnot, you know what I mean? But it's nice that they can kind of adapt with each other.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think match is a funny term, Emily. Like they're designed to go, the design, like the actual visual design is meant to go with certain stuff, but the functionality in the designs are across the board. And so this is going back to coming to an expo and trying stuff on, because there's a lot of times that people go and they try a full suit on and they're like, oh man, I really wish like these arms were longer, or I really wish something like this. And it's like, oh, well, try this jacket on. And they do end up going with a full suit just with two different lineups. And that
not always, but sometimes.
No, not always, but sometimes. And it doesn't really matter. Like the biggest thing, like Craig said right at the beginning of the show, as long as you're wearing a float suit on the ice, that's like the biggest thing. And get into a set of bibs. But if you want to get a jacket, don't worry about if it matches the name. Just put whatever's comfortable on.
If someone's on a budget, I always push them, just get the bibs. Get the
Mhm.
bibs first. Wear whatever jacket you have, because the bibs will keep you very warm, and you need that waterproofness on the legs, and you got the flotation. So if you're on a budget, definitely start with the bibs.
Yep.
And as far as matching,
Oh, the matching, who cares? I don't know.
No. What I was going to say, actually, because the other thing that I've noticed is there is one or two pieces that like don't match the rest of the line, and that's okay, because it seems like Striker is maybe moving a little bit into the realm of like, goose hunters, duck hunters. They love some of this gear, like that waterproof and the float and all of that. And so we're starting to see some of these camo features breaking in. And so that is really interesting. Sometimes, you can buy a whole climate suit or there's a few actually different suits that are kind of meant for hunters these days. And that's pretty cool.
We used to have a lot of hunting and camo. We used to have the climate used to come in a full like marsh camo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember those days. There was a full white suit for like snow geese hunting or laying out in snow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of camo that we've done over the years. Even that the basic trekker in that camo does really well. Duck hunters love it. So yeah, we've toyed around with different camos. We'll always continue to keep doing camos in different patterns and different colors. The new, I can't remember if we have it yet or if it's on the website. We have a new Youth Avenger in a full camo that we had ultimately we had a little bit of fabric to use up. And so that's why we did it in the youth. And ultimately myself and mine, I'm like, I was bringing Henry, my 12-year-old, deer hunting last year, and I don't want to buy him a full orange suit to use one weekend, maybe 2 weekends a year. I put him in a striker suit and I put a little orange vest on him, or actually it was one of my old orange hoodies, like just a regular sweatshirt hoodie, and that's what he hunted in. He was plenty warm because it was a striker gear. And we're trying to think of, all right, what are dads putting their kids in? I'm not going to buy my kid hunting gear. We're going to get out on the ice far more often, but he can use that camo up in the stand. You can use it bow hunting, wherever you want, and then also get out on the ice with it. Do we have that in stock yet, Richard? That youth transition Avenger?
Yeah, the Youth Avenger transition, and in the bib and jacket, yeah.
Well, and just
cool.
and it begs to mention, you guys came out with your own proprietary camo for the climate suit this year. You have the Phase line, and I'm really digging the Phase Vapor. I really like that. It's kind of like a new spin on kind of an old pattern, but you guys also snuck in the logo really subtly, and I really like that. But then you have the Phase Terrain also, and so that's kind of more of that traditional green, brown, beige kind of color again, kind of a new edge on an old style camo. How'd you guys kind of come up with that?
Kind of popular colors. We're looking for something different. We had the digitized veil camo for a long time in a lot of our products, and we're just trying to diversify, come up with something new, something fresh looking. So the veil camo strike pattern, that black, gray, and white pattern was always a good seller. So that's where we started with that phase vapor. Was that the one?
Mm-hmm.
And in the phase train, we just wanted something for ultimate for duck hunters, something a little bit more marshy looking. So yeah, just trying to switch it up, go for some more earth tones. We may or may not have a new pattern coming out or new color of that camo coming out next year.
Ooh.
Called the Stealth, right, Richard?
Oh,
That was from
nice.
Wednesday.
I'm excited already. I
Yeah.
gotta say.
Yep.
Okay, so I am looking down at the time and we are coming a little bit close to the end, but we still have a few questions here. So I'm so sorry to keep holding you. But we talked a little bit earlier about possibly taking that brand new vest, putting it under your rain gear, because that should be a really great fit. Then you will have that float built in. We do still have Scotty asking for a little bit of float material in the Denali rain gear. Do you see that in the future, or maybe not so much?
It's something we're working on. I mean, yeah, the Denali's an interesting one where we've struggled with it because we know guys are wearing it on the ice, but that's not what its intent is for. Because it is a little bit more flexible because it doesn't have the flotation in it. It just moves a little bit better than our ice suits. But it's something we're working on. But as of right now, we haven't been able to figure it out quite yet, other than some long-term research we're doing, which would get flotation in all of our rainwear. So in the meantime, yeah, anything in the short term, it's going to be that float vest to layer underneath it.
Cool. That should be a comfortable fit, I gotta say.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking,
and that's going to keep you warm because that vest is actually
that Denali suit is like wearing pajamas. I love that. It's awesome.
Yeah, when the Denali we just redesigned this year, very similar to what we've done in the past. Again, some slight changes, but yeah, again, been a great seller for us because we're one of the few that makes an insulated rain suit in the industry.
So good.
All right. So this has been so much ice talk. And the funny thing is we haven't even hit on hats, gloves, accessories, sweatshirts, other wear and gear, new socks. Actually, shout out to the brand new socks because those are way sweet.
Have you worn them already?
Yeah, I wore them out in deer hunting the other day. Every
Nice.
time I out
Was it like 80 degrees out? I mean, it's been
Not in
pretty
the
warm
morning.
lately.
Not in the morning. We live in the middle of the woods. We don't have any of the city heat that you guys get.
All right. Fair enough.
We have had a few hard freezes here. I was getting excited about ice season until yesterday. It hit 80 degrees. And I was like, well, never mind.
Disgusting. It's disgusting. Yeah, we are the few people out in the world that just love that cold weather. So
Yeah,
it's I get depressed. This 70 degrees is terrible.
it's terrible. That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So as far as all the things we talked about, is there anything that we missed that you wanted to hit on?
Richard?
I can't think. I think there's been within the past 3 months, there's been so much newness to the brand, from, the new Denali insulated rain jacket, I mean, tons of great stuff with the climate. We actually just released the Adapt insulated jacket as well. I mean, so we're moving forward with new items and getting all this great coverage. And we're seeing a lot of people that are gravitating toward it, whether they're ice fishermen or freshwater or whatnot. But we're also getting a lot of inquiries now about just people that are just outdoor enthusiasts that just want good stuff. And that's kind of like the grand scheme of things is we want to take care of the people that are our roots, which is ice fishing, right? And taking care of them and making sure that we never forget about them and that we own that part of the industry. But we also want to actually bring new people into it. If they're in different parts of the United States and they don't get ice, but they need a good rain jacket. There's no reason why they can't wear a Striker rain jacket. Or if they want to be a little bit more warmer, they can throw on a climate jacket or climate bibs or whatnot. So it's been great to see the excitement that's going behind the brand and the investment that that Craig guys are making into doing that, and people are starting to notice it even more and more. So I think one thing I can say is that I think people should look forward to what we're going to be doing the coming years, because we have a lot of great plans. We have a lot of talented people in Hudson, and so we're going to be doing some really cool stuff.
Oh, just to touch on that, it is our 15-year anniversary this year, and we are releasing some limited edition products coming up here in like a week or two. I don't know the exact timing, so keep an eye on the website. A really cool t-shirt. Honestly, our graphic designer spent way too much time on it to make it accurate. I'll just say that. I think she spent over a week on it. What did you say, Richard? Yeah.
Yep.
Like, it is probably our most design intense graphic for a t-shirt. But 15 years in business doing fishing float suits, to specify. We were doing a little bit of snowmobile jackets and bibs prior to that, but we've dug some out. We are probably going to do a little display upstairs at the office with some of the older stuff. So we're still trying to actually find some of our very first float suit. We're trying to find one in good condition. So if any of your listeners out there have the original, I believe it was a gray, we'll do a social media post probably later this year, looking to see whoever has the best condition original float suit, because we don't have one anymore. We made a regular weight one and then a lightweight version. We have the sort of the second suit, but we really didn't keep anything back then because we were much smaller. It was a lot more fly by the seat of your pants. We do have some of the original snowmobile jackets that my dad had buried at in the basement of the cabin, but mostly everything else was no one kept anything, right? Because you didn't know how long this company was going to last. But 15 years, we've come a long ways to the point where we have now, I think, 6 different float suits just for men alone. 2 for women, 2 for youth, and then the rainwear we keep expanding on. So it's been a good 15-year run. But look for some cool limited edition. I think we're doing a t-shirt and maybe can koozie. Anything else, Richard?
No, t-shirt, can koozie, and maybe something additional like a surprise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're always coming up with wild ideas. Someone will come up with a wild idea and we'll throw it in the mix, and next thing you know, it's coming to reality, and it smells like hotcakes. So we're looking forward to that.
A lot of new hats coming, by the way. You mentioned hats earlier. We probably have a dozen new baseball caps of many different styles. In the past, we've always done, the typical, mesh back, snapback hats, and we're doing some few different styles going forward. I think we have a dozen new hats coming out over the course of the next couple months.
Nice.
We also have something very exciting that we will be releasing at the St. Paul Ice Show, a special collaboration suit. I won't ruin any surprises. Josh and Emily, I think you saw it. I cannot say, but keep an eye on our social media. If you're not following us, there'll be some cool new collaborations coming out.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool suit, and I know for sure that people are going to be excited for that one. Give them something.
Okay, so we talked about so many awesome things here tonight, and the funny thing is there's so much that we didn't even get to, but the nice thing is that the website covers everything, and so if you are looking for information about the float, if you are looking for information about how warm different suits are, if you are looking for information on, I don't even know what. You can search even by color family. I'm looking at the website over here. It's super easy to navigate. They lay things out really, really well. You can see the different color options and choose through. And I happen to know that shipping is like super fast and easy. So if you are looking even for last minute gifts, birthday or Christmas coming up, that is something that is super possible through Striker. And if you just are totally lost and don't know where to start, then that is why, well, you're shopping Hudson. That's why that exists. And as well as your time spent at the expos, because people are going to be able to come by, talk to you guys, ask questions, try things on, find what they like best, and ultimately have a fun time doing it. So we could not be more excited, and we really appreciate your time talking to us tonight and going through all the details and all the different stuff. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
One thing, I don't know if this is appropriate, but how about we leave your listeners with a discount code?
Yeah.
Is that appropriate? That they
love
can
that.
use
Yeah,
for the
they love
next. I'm literally typing in as we speak right now. The promo code will be Crappie Junction 2024, all lowercase, no spaces. That'll get you 30% off. This thing is going to expire. I'll give it 48 hours. Please do not post it anywhere. If you want to share it with your brother or your buddy, go for it. But Crappie Junction 2024, get you 30% off. Good? Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Perfect. Oh, what a nice little bonus.
Right.
Cool. So I
That's
know
what
that there's
happens.
people who are going to come and shop for some vests, and I know that there's going to be a few more people shopping online now. And for the rest of you, we'll definitely see you at the expo. As for you guys, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
You're so welcome.
For having us.
Yeah. And to everybody at home, thank you guys for being here as well. That is always a big part of the fun. And tonight you get a nice little discount code to round out your evening. And with that, we're looking forward to seeing everyone on next Thursday's edition of the Night Bite.
Night, everybody.